Thank you, Program Director, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Government, Ministers here present. I greet you this morning. As Africa continues to define its destiny through the new public health order, we obviously are filled with a great deal of optimism. A future where African citizens enjoy their birthright of good health and well-being is precisely the objective that we all have. I wish to thank the Africa CDC and the government of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia for co-hosting this event. As the African Union champion on COVID-19 response, it is indeed greatly heartening to note that health remains at the forefront of our continent's political agenda. Inequities in access to quality health services and the products is a blight on the conscience not only of our African continent but of the world as well. In the end, the onus falls on each member state to advance the agenda to equitable health care for all and to achieve universal health coverage as aspired to in the UN Agenda 2030 for the Sustainable Development Goals. As health emergencies increase in frequency across the continent, as all of us are aware, our progress towards achieving universal health coverage, as well as full pandemic preparedness, is being impeded. We reaffirm our support for the call of action contained in the communique of the event on Africa's new public health order and rejuvenation, the global health security agenda that took place on the margins of the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Our learnings from the pandemic must be an opportunity to build more robust health systems so that we do not continue to be plagued by the same inequities every time we are faced with a health emergency. The AU COVID-19 Commission is to be commended for investing heavily in Africa's health agenda. This commission did not limit itself just on addressing the COVID challenge. It felt that as it addressed the COVID challenge, it needed to look more broadly at the health challenges that confront our continent. This panel of health experts from across the sectors spanning the whole continent have been exceptional advocates for the new public health order that we desire for our continent. Traveling to the whole world to extract investment and magnifying the voice of African health interlocutors. The members of this commission, who were very carefully chosen, have defended the amendments to the Africa CDC statutes that advocate for the Africa CDC to have the power, the ability to declare public health emergencies of regional concern. Our focus is to continue attracting investment into Africa's CDC's growth, sustainability, and to ensure a very strong network of national public health institutions in every member state that supports it. And where those institutions are not in existence, to foster their setting up. As ministers, you have a key role to play in ensuring this ambition is elevated in our respective countries. This is to enable us, as we face pandemics and health challenges, from rushing to other locales in the world for help and assistance. And yet we have the expertise, the capability here on our continent. If there ever is a moment when we as Africans have to be proud of our intellectual endowments, this is an area where we need to demonstrate our true expertise. As ministers, you have a key role to ensure that this ambition is elevated in our respective countries. With regards to pharmaceutical manufacturing, an issue that came to the fore during the COVID period, you may all recall the meeting of the Bureau in May 2022, where we discussed the serious problem of our nascent manufacturing industry being unable to secure markets. Several bold demands were made following this meeting. Firstly, that Gavi, UNICEF, and other large procurers of vaccines to purchase 30% of the vaccines destined for Africa from African manufacturers. The Africa CDC, the PVM Secretariat, and the AU COVID-19 Commission have done the legwork to ensure that Gavi establishes an advanced market commitment facility for African manufacturers. Secondly, that Africa CDC convenes a working group on manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. The working group will be convened by the Africa CDC in due course. I'm told that all the ministers from countries that are manufacturing health products or aspire to do so will have permanent membership. I encourage these ministers to be part of this critical initiative and renew the momentum of our continent's quest to attain biotech sovereignty. Member states have a responsibility to support manufacturers through preferential procurement policies, working in collaboration with their respective finance ministers. Because in the end, it's no use for us as a continent to have advocated that we can have manufacturing capability for pharmaceuticals, be they vaccines, diagnostics, and many other products that we now have set up to manufacture, and still find that many of us still go outside of our continent to procure these products. It makes no sense. The mRNA spokes must be well supported. Financial support is key to their sustainability. For them to secure loans and other investments, we as member states must demonstrate a strong will to prioritize African products in our procurement policies. We continue to make very good progress in the establishment of the African Union Health Workforce Task Team. This structure will coordinate training, deployment, and the retention of health workers on the continent. And we have seen this in play during the COVID period. The CDC was able to train and deploy health workers across a number of countries, and this proved to be a great boon for our continent. Much of its efforts will be concentrated on supporting member states to accommodate the growing health workforce by supporting innovative financing for retention of health workforce. The pillar of increasing health financing is also critical, and we have not made as much progress as we had hoped to do under the Abuja Declaration. The COVID-19 Commission has been inspired by the success of the African Leaders Malaria Alliance and is now working on a proposal to establish an alliance on health systems strengthening. If there ever was an area where the continent does need a great deal of strengthening, it is in the health systems. This alliance will use scorecard-based visibility and accountability systems so that we can all support, incentivize, and reward one another for innovatively increasing health spending and manifesting good health outcomes. I heartily encourage full participation when the consultation procedures get underway this year. I will close by expressing my support for the campaign to replenish the Africa Epidemics Fund, formerly the the COVID-19 Relief Fund. South Africa stands ready to support the AU Commission in ensuring that this fund will help African countries to respond to current and emerging health threats. As much as the World Bank's pandemic fund has been invaluable, we must also be able to have our pandemic financing mechanism, as we did with COVID-19. This, ladies and gentlemen, heads of states and government, we need to do to break the colonial mindset where we continue to be reliant on external funders to continue funding our fundamental programs that are meant to advance our interests. COVID-19 proved to me that Africa indeed can stand on its own and can cooperate with other parts of the world on the basis of complete independence, respect, and our own sovereignty. If there ever was a time when we held our heads proudly high, it was during the time we navigated our way around the COVID challenge. We were in many ways the only continent that set up or developed a strategy on how to address COVID-19. I can think of no other continent that was able to do so. And in the wake of having done so, we were able to strengthen Africa CDC to make it what it is today and what it is emerging as an independent entity that is going to serve our continent well. But more importantly, we were able to mobilize health workers right across the continent. But I guess the most important part was to raise our voice as a continent and to tell the world that we as Africans are ready, willing, and able to manufacture the medication or the vaccines that they have always sold to us. This is the moment when I saw the true Africa that we want rising. And through these programs, we must continue to rise. Africa is filled with great possibilities, and we must grab those possibilities because we are a great continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your